Springbok squad for the Rugby Championship, or at least the initial training squad. Rassie Erasmus has got the guys that he's called up in camp, including, I think, since the end of last month, or maybe the start of this month, the guys from the Sharks and the Bulls as well, fresh off the Super Rugby playoff duties. This video is a wee bit overdue, seeing as the squad has been around for a while. But we'll have a look through the squad, see who the kind of key guys brought in are, some of the key omissions, and there's still a few clouds about some of these guys, so I guess we'll have to wait and see. But in terms of the squad itself, 3 hookers, Brits, Mbonambi and Marks, kind of makes sense. I don't know whether Brits is there to be playing or to be coaching. Didn't really get a lot of game time last season. He did play for the Barbars, but which was Rassie's Barbars, so yeah, whether he gets any time in the Springbok jersey is a question. Props, Thomas Tutoy, Gaboka, Kitsov, Kok, Malherba, Mtawira, and Inyekane. For locks, Diaka, Elstad, Etzebeth, Mostert, Ori, Sneeman, Peter Steph Tutoy is kind of on that lock loose forward. Edge, Elstad, I guess, too, but Peter Steph probably in the loosies. Marcel Coetzee, Khaleesi, Lowe, that's Francois Lowe, Crocker Smith, Dwayne Vermeulen, that's all the forwards. I'll get to the guys whose names aren't there in a sec. Bax, De Klerk, Herschel Yankees, Reinach, Pollard, Elton Yankees, Francois Steyn. Lacanio Arm, Delende, Esterhazen, Creel, Dianti, Galant, Colby, Lades, Mapimpi, Nkosi, and LaRue. So there's a few overseas-based players there. And the first thing I think about whenever I see those names is, are you really calling them up not to play them? But Rassie has proven that he will do that. He will call guys up from overseas and not play them. But I mean, you got to think LaRue is probably going to play. Colby probably has to play based on his form for Toulouse in the season just gone. Steyn, I'm not sure if he's going to play. I mean, the guy can certainly cover a lot of positions. He's getting a bit on, but yep, cool. Big boot to have in the team, that's for sure. Other overseas players, Corbus Reinach is probably a good addition, seeing as we've seen a wee bit of Rassie not having that much faith in whoever Faf de Klerk's understudy is going to be. We've seen Embros Papier ride the pine for 80 minutes on multiple occasions. Van Sale's been in there, Schrader's been in there, there's been multiple guys in and out. They've brought in Herschel Yankees, which kind of is good because he's probably been the best 9 in Super Rugby from South Africa in this year just gone, but whether he gets any game time is probably pretty questionable. But yeah, still, if Reinach is going to have a bit more faith of the coach and Faf doesn't have to play the 80, then that's cool. Other overseas guys, Lowe, he was pretty good when he came in the last time the Springboks were playing. Marcel Coetzee has always been one of my favourite players. The guy has been pretty injury prone, but if he can stay fit, he's definitely a top man to have in your squad. But there's so many good loosies, I'm not sure where he fits in. I guess we'll see. Mostert is back, and I think he probably plays because when he's in the lineout, he seems to be able to run that lineout a lot more efficiently. He's a big tackler. He's not a big ball carrier. He's a tackling machine, and he's a lineout kind of master. So if he plays, especially with his relationship with Malcolm Marks, who's pretty much going to be the starting hooker, I think that's probably a pretty good combo. But that leaves you with a whole lot of locks that aren't going to play. So I guess we'll see who the partnership is. Elstad is an interesting addition from overseas. Vincent Koch is pretty class, so it's good to have him in the side. He's been good for Saracens, even if he was coming off the bench, at least in the final that I saw. And yeah, I think that's it. I think that's all the overseas guys. Guys who we're missing. Interestingly, my first reaction was there's no Dupria guys here, but from what I read subsequently, it seems like the 2 Dupria twins are under a bit of an injury cloud, so they weren't chosen, so there's still the door open for them. Likewise, Damien Willemse, Warren Whiteley, and even Jan Serfontein. So still these guys could potentially make the squad. Seems tough. Rassie doesn't seem to choose the Dupria guys much. There's no Rob as the third number 10. There's only 2 specialist 10s in that team. It's Pollard and Yankees. Then you've got Steyn, who can play 10, I suppose. And you've got Dylan Lades, who's played a bit of 10. I don't know if I'd want Dylan Lades playing 10 for the Springboks. It's funny enough seeing him play 10 for the Stormers, let alone at test level. So He is a utility, though. I guess he's got that option. It's interesting with the Boks because there's so many players who you look at and go, that's the number one choice guy. I'm looking at Malcolm Marx. I'm looking at Faf de Klerk. Number one choice guy, probably Willie LaRue. These are the number one choice guys. Khaleesi is going to play, but he's under an injury cloud himself. I think he's been 50-50, and they don't want to rush him back because Warren Whiteley, Rusty mentioned in a press conference, they rushed him back, did the Lions, and then he aggravated his injury. So they want to get Khaleesi right, so we may not see much of him. It's a little bit interesting as well because I'm looking, no Dupree brothers, no Willemse, Whiteley, Serfontaine, all injuries, but then Khaleesi's not fit. I guess he's the captain. Kwaka Smith's coming back from an injury. Ludiaka's coming back from an injury. I'm sure there are more, but yeah, it is interesting that some guys are injured still make the squad and some guys don't. Rusty knows best, man. That's all I can say. But yeah, it's gonna be quite the choosing of that squad. You got blessed for depth and props. There's props all day long. I mean, you've left out Wilco Low and Connie Oosthuizen, so that speaks to the depth of that squad. You're blessed with locks. Diaka, Etzebeth. I mean, I like Moster in there. Sneeman has been outstanding. Who do you leave out? Alstad's big callback for a reason, whether he's going to kind of cover lock loose forward. Marvin Ori has been a pretty good, stepped up a gear this year, so that's crazy. Loose forwards, equally, I think, pretty good. I'm not sure if Kwaka Smith can make it being the size that he is. I think it's probably Vermeulen at number 8, but you got a pretty good fetcher in Low. Khaleesi, if he's fit, he'll play as captain, but Marcel Coetzee can play as a fetcher. He can play as number 6. Well, if he's in South Africa, he probably is a 6 as a fetcher, but you know what I mean. Yeah, so very good depth. It is 9 that is a question. If they've got faith in Reinach, and the coach said doesn't know Kobus very well, so that'll be an interesting one to watch. 10, you got to think is Pollard. He's the other guy I should have mentioned who's like out and out the number 1 guy. The midfield for me I have written as a bit of a question because I have no idea who they go with as their midfield combo. Do you go with De Allende and Creel? Do you put that Sharks combo of Esterhuizen and together? I like Esterhuizen and but they've played for the Boks before and not been as good. I feel like at Super Rugby level they're very class, but they aren't really able to emulate that at test level. You could put Stain in there as well. I don't know. I'm going to have to pick a team at some point, and it's going to be tough. If they do go with the foreign players like LaRue at fullback and Colby on one of the wings, that only leaves one wing spot for a Super Rugby-based player. Probably Dianti. I feel sorry for Galant because I like him. I think the Bulls look better when he was playing, but I don't know if he pushes LaRue out. Mapimpi's also been a form wing, so he's got choices there. Lades can cover pretty much the whole back line if you want to put him on the bench. Size is, again, a bit of a question with him, but hey, if Damien McKenzie can play, then why not? So, yeah, I did also have a look at Unbiased Rugby's video on the Springbok squad because he is a South African. He's got some good insights there. I'll put his video in the description. He also questions like Brits, whether he should be in the squad if he's not going to play. He definitely does seem to be a pretty big question. Attitude issues with Frans Steyn he brings up, which he probably knows more about that than me. But yeah, you guys let me know your thoughts on the squad. At some point I will try and make a 23-man team out of this. It's tough. As I said, there's like 3 or 4 positions which are set in stone, and then the rest of it's kind of really up for grabs. But yeah, you guys let me know your thoughts on the squad. Who else do you think is unlucky to miss out? I definitely didn't include everybody. I just thought a few names off the top of my head. Check out Unbiased's video as well because, as I said, he is a South African and he knows his rugby. And yeah, I'll talk to you guys again soon. See you later.